for another stream. My name's Charles Fernandez, and we're going to be continuing my pumpkin / jack-o'-lantern project. I have imported the sculpt that I did in Adobe Medium, the VR sculpting program, and I brought it into Maya. And from here, I will be doing what's called retopo, or retopologizing the asset. From there, I'll UV map it, bring it into Substance Painter as soon as I learn how to use that program, and texture it there. So I'll be taking you through the whole asset development process, and yeah, I'll be learning it for myself as well. So I'll finally have that missing piece of information that I've been lacking. So here we go. First things first, this is a very, very geometrically dense piece of work. It is a very high density sculpture. What retopologizing does is basically allows you to overlay with the quad draw tool, overlay points, and basically make a much simpler version of the mesh. So define 2 to 4 points, hit the shift key, and right click. That allows you to create these points at points along the mesh that make sense. Oh, also it should be noted that I have an additional, let's see if I can show, yeah. Oh, I should probably hide at least, oh, it's already hidden. So I have a jack-o'-lantern thing here that underneath this other pumpkin, but you don't need to see that just yet. What you can also do is create, hold down the control key and right click, and that allows you to add an edge loop, which you can take this point and drag it over here so that it makes sense, put it in the very center of that crease, and you can add detail as you go along. But in the meantime, just try to keep it as simple as you possibly can. I might want to undo that. Yeah, let's undo that for now. First things first, add this. And this is just a straight up pumpkin layer. Pumpkin. So I have like 3 different kinds of pumpkins. So you can see I have this derpy little jack-o'-lantern here that I carved out from this pumpkin. So here's just the regular pumpkin, and here's the jack-o'-lantern version of it. So once I've done a a retopo of the base pumpkin, I will go in and do a retopo of the jack-o'-lantern based on this pumpkin. So we can do this again, make live, and then go in and use the quad draw tool. I'll make a couple of points along the spine. Just because I can. I don't have to do it all one square at a time. Just follow the natural edge. Just lining it up. This is going to be a in-depth process, a meticulous, methodical, slow going process. So it's going to be boring, but hopefully, if any of you find it entertaining, that will be worth it. And if none of you find it entertaining, at least I'll have done this for myself. I'm doing my best to expand my knowledge base for like film or game asset creation, because I've seen a lot of work that is frankly just a lot better than mine, and I always felt like I was missing a part of the process. Because I'm like old school Maya. I've been using it for 21 years now, but I never, like, I learned beyond my college classes, but I never really used anything other than Maya for modeling, or for anything really. I used Maya for modeling, and I used the texture work. And there are so many other programs that have become part of major film production pipelines now that, you know, people are able to do work far beyond what my capabilities are because they use these other programs. So I'm doing my best to learn how to use those other programs finally after 20 years to see if I can improve my chances of getting more game and film work. Just improving the quality, the quality of my body of work. Because I do feel like it's missing something. Yeah, probably could undo these. Because I know that that's technically, officially one span, but it does have that. It is definitely kind of boring when I'm not listening to music. Probably could put on some tunes just for myself, but you wouldn't be able to hear it because it seems like I am constantly getting copyright violation flags whenever any kind of audio plays, no matter what source I get it from. Actually, you know what? I could play some of my old friend Hugh's music, so I might do that if I can get that going. I'm only going to be doing this for about an hour tonight, and then coming back to it again later. But right now I'm just doing this as a demonstration so that you can get an understanding of what this process is. There are also other faster ways that I could be laying down these edges. I could be extruding just like that. And to do that, you hold down the Control and the Shift and Tab keys. Just click and drag. But again, I think we're kind of losing the plot here, doing it that way. Here I can be a little more precise in where I put my control points. Doing my best to preserve the edge flow. To keep it as simplified as I can, but at the same time capturing enough of the detail for it not to be lost. Alright, so it's 2 spans. This is going to take a while. So yeah, once I get most of this completed, actually once I get the whole thing retopologized, I'll be doing what's called a UV map, which is taking the geometry, essentially spreading it out flat, so that you can paint on the surface. There may be a more elegant way to explain that, but I can't really words and work at the same time. My brain doesn't function that way. Yeah, once I get to the point where I can start working on the texture, I'll be exploring a program called Substance Painter, which is another Adobe product. Medium is an Adobe product that used to be an Oculus program, but it was purchased by Adobe, who has changed a few things, added a few things, put their own spin on it. It's not too dissimilar from Oculus's version of Medium, but Adobe has been around the graphic design industry for decades. It's like Maya. When I started using it, was an alias wavefront program, and then later the program was purchased by Autodesk, so they started producing Maya. Autodesk is the same company that has that is responsible for AutoCAD and 3D Studio Max. So they're definitely another company that has been in the graphic production industry for a long, long time. So once this simplified version is done, what will happen is this simplified version of the geometry, the high resolution version is projected onto the low resolution version to produce a normal map. Well, I'm going to have to look a little bit more into this process because it has changed a bit since the last time I explored it at any length. I had tried it quite a long time ago and didn't quite get the results that I was expecting, so I had abandoned it, thinking that it just wasn't going to work. But apparently that is the process that is used a lot these days. So if I'm going to make any progress in upgrading the quality of my work, it is definitely something I'm going to have to master. It was just something that I discarded as unnecessary or unproductive years and years ago, that turns out is a crucial and critical part of the process that I never got around to adopting. So It's them details, y'all. Details will get you every time. I keep the edge of the map here. I don't need to have that there. Turn that grid off. Let's see. Yep. Just making sure that I was streaming to the applications that I want. I'm streaming Facebook, I'm streaming on YouTube. Apparently I'm losing signal though, because the Wi-Fi currently sucks. But there's really nothing I can do about that. Let's see how much of this pumpkin I can get done in 1 hour. Oh. I didn't think that the span of that looked quite right. I got a lot of faces. This pumpkin's got over 1 million faces. That is a high resolution sculpt. So, you know what's funny? I think for a long time, I had the process completely backwards. As I understood it, you would create a base mesh in Maya. Then you'd take that mesh into ZBrush or some other sculpting program, and you would create a high-res model based on the low-res model. So you'd start low and work your way high, building more and more detail. And then from there, you would rig it and animate it and all that good stuff. But apparently, the high-res models are like concept work. they are how you start off. Like you create the characters in these sculpture programs because they are faster to work with, like more intuitive, and you can have, you know, millions and millions of polygons to get as much detail as you want into them, to get all of your details in place, and then you bring it into a program like Maya, and then you retopologize it like this. You simplify the mesh, and you project the high res details onto the low res mesh, and then you animate the low res mesh because it's a lot easier to work with. It's less of a nightmare to rig and to animate, because if you were going to try and animate a mesh with millions of polygons in it, it would just break your computer, because the computer does not have the processing power to handle that kind of thing. And for a long time, I did not understand. Like, I knew how to take my models so far, and then I couldn't take it any further. I was kind of at a stopping point, like a roadblock. Like, I didn't know how to give my work that extra push to give it more detail. And it's like, well, if I bring it into ZBrush after I create it in Maya, how am I going to rig it and animate it then? Because it just seems like it'd be so impossible. And it's like, yeah, no, don't do it that way. That's dumb. Apparently that's backwards. So, the more you know. When I've been job hunting this last year, a lot of the requirements, you know, I qualified for, you know, 3D modeling jobs and stuff like that, but like a lot of the stopping point was that, like, they wanted you to know Substance Painter, they wanted you to know ZBrush, they wanted you to know, you know, not just Maya, they want you to know these other packages. So it's like, that's where I've been going wrong, you know. That's where I've been missing my opportunities. I never established that I could take my work beyond simple meshes. So that's what I'm doing. Learning it now. A little late to the party, but we'll see how much of a difference it makes. Hopefully it'll make a lot. Like, I really like the detail I was able to give this high resolution sculpt. We'll probably go even further on it. My work in ZBrush has improved somewhat. I need to do more work there as well. But like there, I'm kind of at a stopping point as well. I'm like, I don't know, do I add all of the detail in ZBrush, or do I add a little bit and then take it into Substance Painter to finish the job? It's like, I know that there really isn't any one right or wrong answer on the process, but it'll be helpful for me to actually just learn the programs and spend time in the programs and learn what each of them can and can't do, what the limitations are, and that will probably inform my decisions on how to proceed on any one project. On any given challenge. Yeah, some of the things I've learned this year because I had the time. God, did we all have a lot of time. A little too much time on my hands. But like some of it would have been really helpful for me to know when I was, working professionally. It's like I didn't take the time to learn the tools that were available to me. Like, oh, this is something that would have made my job easier. Well, I know it now. So, like when you get a high poly mesh, or if you've got a model that is an absolute mesh because you were given that model by someone else, like you could just go in and retopologize it with this process. It takes a while, but it's a lot faster doing it this way than going in and like fixing every problem area in a mesh that you see and trying to repair the edge flow when there's really no salvaging it, or if you've got a dense mesh that's full of triangles, you're like, how am I going to make a geometry that makes sense out of this? Just make it live and whoop out quad draw, and that's how you do it. That's how you do it. A lot of times I get distracted, It's like so busy working on
DVSWA. Hey.
Hey, how's it going? You watching on YouTube or Facebook or? Twitch? I know I'm streaming on Twitch too. see if I can get some music going.
DVSWA. Do you apply the details with normal map?
Yeah, I think that is that's the process. I haven't actually gotten to that part yet. From what I understand, once I simplify this mesh, I project the details from the high res onto the low res mesh. There are a number of programs that can do that. You can do it in Maya, but you can also do it, I think, in ZBrush and maybe even in Substance Painter. But I'm not sure what the best program to do that would be, or if they're, better in certain circumstances to use one over the other. I'm not entirely sure. Like that's kind of like the next step that I'm going to be exploring, but I'm not quite there yet. I need to learn about it first. But based on some of the videos that I've seen, that seems to be what happens is you project the details from high res to low res. That way the low res will look as detailed as the high res without being so geometrically expensive. Let's try this. Oh, I'm going to save this. Version 2. Alright, so added some music to the mix. This is music created, composed, written by an old friend of mine, Hugh Sullivan. Let's see. He's got like this cyberpunk style to it. I think that's the name of his album. Cyberpunk Digital Inspiration. Oh, I'm doing that kind of wrong. No, I had been doing that right. But actually think I could probably get away with doing it this way. This this area is not particularly detailed, so I could grab this, once I complete this this section, I can just add an edge loop down the center of it to make it a little neater. Shift tab. Nope. Shift. Control. There we go. It's just a matter of hitting different buttons until you find the one you want.